سخت کیا کہا، وہ بولے
پیٹ کر قتل المرتضی،
وہ بولے پیٹ کر قتل المرتضی
کہا،
دوڑے یہ کہہ کہ جانب مسجد و نیگزار، ڈوبی ہوئی لہو میں ملی کشتی نجات، ماتے پا خون باپ کا مل کر کہاں یہ بات ہے اٹھائے قبلہ و کعبہ پہ ہے اٹھایا قبلہ و کعبہ
پہ کے
رلوایا نانا جان کو داروس سلام میں بن باپ کا کیا ہے ماہ سیام، بن باپ کا کیا ہے ماہ سیام، ناگا نمازیوں کا گھور ننگے سر، حیدر نے مجتبیٰ سے کہاں آنکھیں کھول کر پڑھواؤ تم نماز جماعت کی اے پسر، ہم بیٹھے بیٹھے پڑھتے اپنے مقام، ہم بیٹھے بیٹھے پڑھتے
اپنے مقام پر،
لیکن جبھی کا زخم پہ رومال باندھو، میرا سر شگافتہ لال باندھو، باندھا حسن نے زخم سر شاہ ذوالجلال، بولے علی کے اور کسو درد ہے کمال، شبر نے جب کسا تو کیا پھر وہی مخال، پھر چست باندھ کر پکارا وہ کچھ، پھر چست باندھ کر پکارا وہ کچھ قصہ، اب درد کیسا ہے اسد ذوالجلال ہے، ہاتھوں سے سر پکڑ کے کہاں وہ ہلا، ہاتھوں سے سر پکڑ کے کہاں وہ ہلا، بولے علی آواز ابھی سے نہ بج نہیں، زینب سے کہہ دو کوفہ یہ کربلا، زینب سے کہہ دو کوفہ یہ کربلا
نہیں،
میں بے دیار و بے کسو بے آشنا نہیں، شیعہ
گرد نہ اہل جفا،
شیعہ گرد نہ
اہل جفا نہیں،
پردے سے ننگے سر تو اب کیوں نکلتی ہے، کیا حلق پر حسین کی تلوار، کیا حلق پر حسین کی تلوار، کیا حلق پر حسین کی تلوار چلتی ہے، صلوات. Assalamu alaikum. First off, couple of announcements. The annual Imam Ali Jalus will be tomorrow, March 31st. The procession will begin from Divan and Liavit, and the Majlis will be held at Warren Park. We humbly request your presence. Tomorrow, the Amal will begin at 9 p.m., and the Majlis will begin at 9:30 p.m., inshallah. Today, Brother Zaman Nurani will speak about self-improvement. Let us hope to implement the knowledge we attained tonight and apply the given into our very own lives. Now, without further ado, please welcome Brother Zaman Nurani to the minbar with a loud salawat.
فاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى صلوات. One of the primary qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He is just. That when we look at the Usul al-Din, we see that Adl is one of the bedrocks of our Usul al-Din. We have Tawheed, Adl, Nabuwa, Imama, and Qiyamah. That Allah is the most just. He's so just that He sent prophets to us, He sent messengers, He sent imams, and He has the day of judgment, where He sends the people who were not good in this life to Jahannam, and He sends the people who are good, who had taqwa, who had piety, to Jannah. And in addition to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not give us something that we cannot bear. That He does not expect anything above our capacity. That when we are tested, know that we are tested and we are able to pass the test. Or else it would have been an unjust test. That if you look at a computer, it has 64 megabytes or 64 gigabytes. You cannot put 65 gigabytes in that computer. It's above the capacity. Much like that, the tests we incur, the tests that we have in this dunya, we are able to pass them, that we're made to do so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wants us to be just. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, He's generous, He's kareem, He wants us to have those attributes as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. That Allah commands us to be just and to be good, to be kind with other people. That is one of the requirements Allah has set for us. But if you look at society today, would you describe society as a just society? That more than 1,000 years ago, Allah is telling you, be just, be kind. But is that a word that comes to your mind when you want to describe society today? Would you say society is just? It's a kind society? How would you describe society? Heartless, unjust, corrupt. That you see what's going on in the world today. Where is the justice? That you see rulers, you see governments, that they all find different ways to bypass justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. That surely people will exceed all bounds, that they'll become tyrannical when they see themselves as self-sufficient. That when people start thinking, that when people start forgetting about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they start thinking that they themselves are everything, that now they have power, they have authority, they have money, they have leadership, they start forgetting about Allah. And they start transgressing in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you see this today, it's very common. You see people profiteer from war. You look at society in America. You see the people or the prison population. Most of the people in prison today are from low income backgrounds. That you see the upper echelon, the people who are wealthy usually can buy their way out of the justice system. That there are ways to opt out. But if you don't have money, you're from the lower income, a poor family. When you go to prison, there's no way you don't have enough money for bail. You're in there for life. But if you have money, there's ins and outs. That you look at the top 10% of American society own 70% of the wealth. The top 10 own 70%. And the bottom 50% own 2.5% of the wealth in America. That these are not figures I'm making up. These are figures from Forbes from 2021. That this is the society we're living in. So this is an unjust society. And inshallah, we're waiting for that government of Imam Mahdi. May Allah hasten his reappearance. Salawat. that when that government comes, we're going to see many parallels to the government of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Salawat. That you look, we go back in time, that after the assassination of the third Khalifa, Uthman, what happened? There was a void. There was a lull in the ummah. People didn't know who to go to. That people started surrounding the house of Imam Ali. They started begging with him. They started pleading. They wanted to convince him that please be our ruler. That all the tribes leaders were coming to the house. What do you see today? Today, if someone wants to get into a position of power, what do you have to do? You have to spend money. You have to have advertisements. That in 2024, more than $10 billion will be spent in advertisements for political races. That you're going to see advertisements on social media. You're going to see advertisements on streaming services. Advertisements in Spanish. And don't be surprised if soon you see advertisements in Urdu. If you see them in Arabic, that Dick Durbin wants your vote, he's going to say, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and then he's going to tell you what he's going to do. That this is what you have to do if you want a position of power. You have to spend money. You have to come. You have to convince people. You have to beg for their vote. But this is the first time we're seeing in history that the politician, the person who wants a position of power, is not going to the people. But rather the people are coming to Imam Ali. That people, they're coming to Imam Ali and they're saying, please be our ruler. So what happens? Ibn Abbas, the cousin of Imam Ali, he goes inside his house. He goes inside the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And what does he see Amir al-Mu'mineen doing? What would you expect Amir al-Mu'mineen to do? That people want him to become the ruler of more than 50 current day countries. That he's just one. He has the power. He has rulership. What do you expect Amir al-Mu'mineen to do? Maybe he's going to be preparing his State of the Union address. Maybe he's making sure he's wearing the best clothes. What is Amir al-Mu'mineen doing at this time where people are surrounding his house? They're coming from all corners. He's sitting on the ground and he's stitching his sandal. He's sitting on the ground and he's trying to stitch his sandal because part of it broke off. Now, Ibn Abbas, he comes inside the house and he's like, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, what are you doing? That people want you to be their ruler, their Khalifa, but you're sitting on the ground and stitching your sandal? That anyone can do this. We'll have someone, we'll call him in, he'll stitch it for you. We'll buy you a new pair of sandals. That this is not befitting for you. So Imam Ali, he says, oh Ibn Abbas, what is this sandal worth? What do you think the worth of this sandal is? Ibn Abbas is like, it's broken. The strap is gone. It's been used. It's worthless. Maximum, maybe 1 dirham, 2 dirham, maybe we could get from it, if we're lucky. But for the most part, you can't salvage it. It's worthless. Imam Ali puts the sandal up. He says, oh Ibn Abbas, this sandal is more beloved to me than the whole khilafat. That this sandal you see right here that you say it's worthless is more beloved than the entire khilafat, except if I can uphold justice and eradicate injustice. Salawat. That Imam Ali was the epitome of justice. He was an intellectual genius. He was the most knowledgeable. That people would come to him for their rulings, for their matters. That once there was an issue that came to Imam Ali. It started off like this. 2 people. They came first to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli. So 2 people, they came to Rasulullah. They say, we have an issue. That we can't solve this. We don't know what to do. Rasulullah, what's your issue? They say, look, I had a donkey. He has a cow. His cow killed my donkey. What do we do? What's the blood money? How much money does he owe me? His cow killed my donkey. What should we do? How much money am I owed? Am I owed any money? So Rasulullah always gives others a chance first. He says, go to Abu Bakr. So they go to Abu Bakr. And they say, Rasulullah sent us, we have this issue. He's like, okay, what's your issue? They say, look, his cow killed my donkey. What's the ruling? How can justice be done here? Abu Bakr says, look, the cow is an animal. It's a beast. It has no aql. The donkey is a beast. It's an animal. It has no aql. If a beast kills a beast, the owners have nothing to do with it. There's no ruling here. So they go back to Rasulullah. They say, we're not happy with this ruling. Can you send us to someone else? So Rasulullah says, okay, go to Umar. So they go to Umar. Now, the first thing Umar asks is, who sent you? They say, Rasulullah sent us here. And then he says, why did he not send you to Abu Bakr? So they're like, no, we went to Abu Bakr and we already talked to him. So Umar says, what did Abu Bakr say? So they regurgitate. They said, Abu Bakr said they're beasts, an animal killed an animal, the owner has no responsibility. Umar says, that makes sense to me. I agree with that. So they go back to Rasulullah. They said, look, Umar had the same response to the matter as Abu Bakr did. What do? We're not happy with this solution. So Rasulullah says, go to Imam Ali. He will give you the right answer. So they go to Imam Ali. They say, look, his cow killed my donkey. What is the ruling here? What should we do? Imam Ali says, look, if the cow went into the stable of the donkey, if the cow entered the stable of the donkey, the owner of the cow owes you the blood money of the donkey. However, if the donkey left its stable and went into the stable of the cow, then there's no money to be given. That was the ruling of Imam Ali, the most just. That once there was a father. The father was on his deathbed. The father had 17 camels, and he had 3 sons. So before he's about to die, he writes in his will that the oldest son is going to get half the camels, half of the 17 camels. The second son is going to get a third of the 17 camels, and the third son is going to get a ninth of the 17 camels. Then the father dies. The 3 sons, they get the will. 17 camels, half of the 17. How do we do that? A third of the 17? How do we divide this? What is a half of a 17, a third, a ninth? They try going to the judges. They say, how do we solve our issue? We want to know how many camels each person should inherit. None of the judges could solve their problem. So finally, they come to Imam Ali. And they say, oh, Imam Ali, look, we have 17 camels. There's 3 of us. One of us has 1/2, one of us has 1/3, and one of us has 1/9. So what does Imam Ali do? He says, okay, you have 17 camels. Take one of my camels. Now you have 18 camels. What is 1/2 of 18? 9. What's 1/3 of 18? And what's 1/9 of 18? 2. Now add them all together. 9 plus 6 plus 2. 17. Now Imam Ali takes back his camel. And he says, there's your issue. That's the solution to your issue. That this was the justice of Imam Ali. Salawat. Now once during the reign of the second Khalifa, Umar, a case came to him. And this happened many times where he could not decide the ruling of a case. He would become confused. So the case was like this, that 2 women, they come to him with a child, with a son. One woman says, it's my son. The second woman says, it's my son. The first says, no, it's my son. And they're arguing. Now Umar has to figure out, whose son is this? They can't do a DNA test. It's a lot harder. No blood samples can be taken. The technology wasn't there yet. How is he going to figure this out? So he calls Imam Ali. He says, you deal with this. I don't know what to do. So Imam Ali, he speaks to them. First, he tells them that, look, this is the punishment of false testimony. That if you give a false testimony, there's a punishment in this life and a punishment in the hereafter. But they're still arguing. One says, no, this is my son. The second one says, no, this is my son. And they cannot come to a conclusion. Whose son is it? Is it the first woman's son or the second woman's son? So Imam Ali, he says, okay, both of you cannot come to an agreement. You know what I'm going to do? There's no option but to take my sword. I'm going to cut the baby in half. I'm going to give 1/2 to you and the other half to you. So one of the women, she started crying. She said, don't do this, please. It's not my son. I relinquish my right. It's her son, please. And she's crying and she's crying. And Imam Ali says, no, but it's actually your son. You are the real mother because you had the best interest in mind for your child. That this was the justice of Imam Ali, the most knowledgeable, the epitome of justice. But before he implemented any justice on other people, he would make sure to implement justice on himself. That you see rulers today. Rulers today live the most lavish lifestyle. That you see their houses, their cars. It seems like there's no humility anymore. I don't know if it's still the case, but in 2015, the most expensive house that was sold at that time sold for $300 million. A house for $300 million in Paris. A beautiful house. And you wonder who must have bought this house. It ended up being the ruler of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince. He had the money. He spent $300 million of the public funds, and then he's enjoying in Paris with his big bungalow. That you look at some of the Islamic leaders today, or some of the Islamic leaders in the past, that you look at the sultans and of the Ottoman Empire, and if you've ever had the chance to go to Turkey, there's a big palace there. It's very famous, the Dolmabahce Palace. And you look at this palace, and it completely, it makes no sense. It's so big that you get lost. You don't know what floor you're on anymore. The rooms are never ending. There's 285 rooms in this palace, the Sultan's palace. The Sultan Abul Majid, and it was moved around and stuff, but that was their palace of the Ottoman Empire. It's right next to Bosphorus, or the sea over there. And you look at this palace, 285, there's a room for the Sultan, there's 65 bathrooms. I don't know what they were doing with 65 bathrooms, but there's a whole room that's only pink, the pink hall, and there's the reading room for the Sultan, the writing room, a room for his dignitaries, and it's extravagance on a whole nother level. And then you look at the effects of what happened from that palace. That to build that palace, the Sultan issued more paper money. He put more paper money into the economy of the Ottomans. What did that cause? It caused more inflation. It was a burden to the state treasury, and it deteriorated the financial conditions. That people, they were feeling the effects of the extravagance of the Sultan of that time, that it was not good for the economy. And you see, it's not uncommon for rulers to spend money like this, to buy things which are not necessary for their palace, for their places of government. But you look at Imam Ali. What does Imam Ali say? He says, know that your Imam suffices with 2 pieces of bread and 2 outfits. The Imam Ali is happy with only 2 pieces of bread per day, one in the morning and one in the evening. And he has 2 outfits, one for the winter and one for the summer. That history tells us that Muawiyah, he would be the most extravagant. That when it would come time for dinner, he would bring out food in just so many plates that animals would carry the meals of Muawiyah. He would have food on mules, and they would be coming to his table. So him and his friends and the dignitaries he would have, they would all enjoy on the state's purse. And there is a man, he would see this, and he's like, wow, that's a lot of food. That's like a humongous buffet, better than any buffet we have here. And he's like, wow, I wonder if Muawiyah has so much food, what is the food of Imam Ali like? What is the food of Amir al-Mu'mineen like? His food must be the best. It must be the greatest food. So he goes to the mosque in Kufa and he tries to find Imam Ali. And he finds it's Ramadan time. So he finds Imam Ali. He's like, Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen, I want to have iftar with you today. Today, me and you, we're going to have iftar, and I'm really excited. He's like dreaming of different foods that he's going to get because he saw Muawiyah's food. And Imam Ali, he's like, it must be more food. So much more. He's like, we're going to have the best food today. Like, let's go. And Imam's like, no, we actually break the fast in the mosque. And he's like, no, I want to be your guest at your house tonight. I will be there for iftar time. And Imam's like, okay, very well. We'll have iftar together. This guy's happy. He's dreaming, kofta, kebab, what's going to happen, different types of food. And he gets to the house of Imam Ali. And they're sitting on the table, and Imam Ali gets up and he gets a bag. On the bag, there's a lock. He unlocks the lock, he takes the bag, and he takes out 1 piece of bread for himself and 1 piece of bread for him. And the guy's like, what is this? is this like an appetizer? But this is the meal. This is going to be your iftar. So he takes the bread, he tries to break it, he can't even break the bread. He has to use his knees to break the bread. That's how hard the bread was. And, he eats and he's like, wow, this is like a very humble person. But he's like, Imam Ali, why did you have to lock the bag? Because Imam Ali unlocked the bag, then he took the bread out. He's like, Imam Ali, why did you lock the bag? There's no reason to. There wasn't like some really good food in the bag, nothing precious. Why did you lock that bag? Imam Ali says, I locked my bag of bread because I didn't want Hassan or Hussein to take some oil and put it on the bread to make it softer. I didn't want them to take some honey and put it on the bread so it becomes softer. Imam Ali wanted to live like the poorest of the poor in his kingdom. Salawat. That today, you see rulers, it's not uncommon that they have special privileges with their family, their friends. That you see a president come in, and within the first 3 months, you see he pardons 50 people, his friends. He's nepotic. That if you're a friend of the ruler, that you could pretty much get anything done. You could get money from the treasury. It's a very buddy-buddy relationship with today's rulers. However, Imam Ali was not like that. The Imam Ali had no special privileges with anyone, even himself. That one time, Imam Ali's armor is lost. He can't find his armor, and he sees a non-Muslim man with his armor. The non-Muslim man has his armor. Imam Ali's like, hey, that's my armor. The non-Muslim's like, no, it's mine. What are you talking about? Amir al-Mu'min's like, no, that's my armor. I know my armor. The non-Muslim's like, no, it's my armor. I'm holding it. I have possession of the armor. Amir al-Mu'minin has to take the non-Muslim to court. Imagine that. Amir al-Mu'minin is the head of state. He has the power of current day 50 plus countries. And Imam Ali has to take him to court. Amir al-Mu'minin could have just had someone send him to prison, or had taken matters very easily. But Imam Ali wanted to show that even though he's the ruler, he's not above the law. So Imam Ali took the non-Muslim to court. So they're in the court. Imam Ali's on one side, the non-Muslims on the other. And the judge starts the rulings. And he addresses Imam Ali. He's like, Amir al-Mu'mineen versus, and he takes the name of the non-Muslim. And Amir al-Mu'mineen's like, hold up. We're in court. We're equal to one another. You cannot use my title. You cannot call me Amir al-Mu'mineen in court. In court, we're the same person. You call me by Ali ibn Abi Talib versus the non-Muslim man's name. So the judge is like, okay, I'm sorry. It's Ali ibn Abi Talib versus the non-Muslim. So the court starts. And Imam Ali is the plaintiff in this case. He's the one making the case. So the judge is like, oh, Ali, do you have any evidence that this is your armor? Imam Ali's like, no, I don't have any evidence. Do you have any witnesses? He's like, I don't have any witnesses. So the judge rules in favor of the non-Muslim. He rules in favor of the non-Muslim. And Imam Ali is the ruler of the time. He loses in court. So they leave the court. And the non-Muslim, he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's like, you truly are the leader of the Muslim Ummah. And he's like, I want to become Muslim. I've never seen anything where I can take the ruler to court and win, and take your armor too. He says, I want to become Muslim. And he takes the shahadat. He says, La ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, wa ashhadu annaka waliyullah. And I bear witness that you are the wali of Allah. Salawat. That too, Amir al-Mu'mineen, it didn't matter if you are rich or poor, if you are black or white. It didn't matter what your social caste was or how much money you had. That he was the embodiment of justice. That he stood shoulder to shoulder with justice, and he lived by these principles. That Amir al-Mu'mineen was not worried about expansion, because you see other dynasties, the Umayyads, for example, they spread Islam all the way to Spain. But Amir al-Mu'mineen was not interested in expansion and in numbers. He was more interested in establishing justice and the bedrock for Islamic society. That it did not matter you were Arab or non-Arab, black or white, he would treat you the same. That one time, Amir al-Mu'mineen is giving out shares and stipends from the Bayt al-Mal. So everyone is coming in and they're taking what is due to them and then they leave. And this Arab woman, she comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen and she said, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you gave me the wrong amount." Amir al-Mu'mineen's like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "You gave me the same amount as a black woman. I'm an Arab woman. I should have more." Because she was used to this. The previous Khalifas, they would differentiate between the Arab and the non-Arab, between the black and the white. She said, "I'm Arab. I should have more stipends. I should have more money." Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "Look, I've read the whole Quran, and not once have I seen in the Quran that the Arab has more entitlement than the non-Arab. That the black or the white is better than the black. I've never seen this before. You got exactly what you deserve." In the Quran it says, "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum." That the only differentiating factor between you and Allah is the person who has more piety. He's seen better in the eyes of Allah. That it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or old or young or black or white. That the person who has the most piety, the most God consciousness is the best in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That once Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was walking with his companions. He's walking with his companions and he sees a Christian man begging. The Christian man is begging on the street and Amir al-Mu'mineen, he didn't like the sight of someone in his kingdom, someone in his rulership having to ask for money. So Imam Ali did some more research. He inquired, who was this man? Does he not have any sons? Like what happened? So he starts asking around. And he found out that this man, he didn't have any sons. That when he was young, he worked hard. But then he started losing his eyesight and he was unable to work. And now that Christian man, he didn't have any money, so he had to beg on the streets and hope that other people paid for his livelihood, gave him food and enough to live off of. Imam's like, this is ajib, this is strange, that when he was young and strong, we used him. We used his youth, his strength. And now that he cannot work, that he's no longer beneficial to society, we discard him and we leave him on his own. So Amir al-Mu'mineen started the pension system. And he gave this man a life pension so that he could live with dignity, with honor. That he gave so much to society and that society cannot just throw him away like that. But Imam Ali, it didn't matter if you were his brother, his uncle. The Amir al-Mu'mineen would grant no political favors. There would be no nepotism in the kingdom of Imam Ali. That one day, Imam Ali is met by his brother Aqil. Now Aqil is in debt. Aqil goes to Imam Ali and he's like, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, oh Ali, I'm your brother. We are brothers. We have the same mother. And I'm in debt. I have to pay off a loan. I have a dain. I have to pay off 100,000 dirham. Can you help me?" Right? You have the treasury right in front of you, that all this gold and silver, that you can take it, no one knows. It's all in your control. So Imam Ali is like, hold up. Look, we're going to give out the stipends from the Bayt al-Mal. We're going to give out everyone's shares from the Bayt al-Mal. When we give out those shares, I will give you from my personal share. That I will take a part of my personal money and I'll give it to you. And Aqil is like, what are you talking about, Ali? That look, the treasury is in your control. Right now you could open it and just give me some gold so I could pay off my debt. I'm your brother. Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, I can't do this. I can give it to you from my personal money. From my personal money, it's okay. But from public money, I cannot give you even 1 dirham. That's not possible from me. And Aqil keeps insisting. And he says, please, just give me from the treasury. Just give me some gold. I can pay off my debt. Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, you know what? I have a better idea. That you're proposing this. How about we go to the marketplace? And it was nighttime and they were on a balcony. So they're looking over the marketplace. And at night, all the merchants, they would take their money and lock it up, or they would put it in a box. And the next morning, they would have their money secure and they would continue doing business. So Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, oh Aqil, why don't we go to the marketplace and take the money out of the boxes? And Aqil's like, "Oh, that's robbery. We can't do that. We can't go and take from the hard-working merchants who spend all day selling and buying. We can't steal from them." And Aqil's Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, "Okay, I have a better idea. How about we go to the town of Hira? That this is a town where all the rich people would live." He said, "Let's get our armor, let's get our swords, and let's steal from the rich. That we'll tell them we're going to kill you if you don't give us your money." Aqil's like, "Hold up, I don't want to do this. This is robbery, this is wrong. All I'm telling you is just give me some money from the treasury. That's all I'm asking for." Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, "What you're proposing is the worst type of robbery. This white-collar robbery that you're proposing, just to take from the treasury, it is the worst type of robbery, and I cannot support you with this." That even though Aqil was the brother of Imam Ali would not shake, Imam Ali would not break when it came to justice. Please recite a loud salawat. That's once Talha and Zubair, they came to Imam Ali. That Imam Ali was working with some matters for the government, and Talha and Zubair come, and they came because they wanted a position of power. That they knew Ali, they said maybe we can convince him to give us some power in the land. So they come to Talha and Zubair come to Imam Ali, and Imam Ali's working. And the first thing Imam Ali asks them is this a public matter or is this a personal matter? So Talha and Zubair are like, "This is a personal matter." So Imam Ali takes the candle he was using, he blows it out. He puts it to the side, he takes one of his personal candles and he lights it. And Talha and Zubair are like, "What's going on?" They look at one another and they're like, "Oh Ali, why did you do this? Why did you have to change the candle?" And Imam Ali says, "Look, if it was a public matter, this is the public candle. This is the candle that was purchased from the Bayt al-Mal. But you said you're here for a private matter. So I'm going to use a candle that Ali bought. I'm going to use a candle that I personally bought with my own money." Now Talha and Zubair, they don't even have the courage to ask Ali for any power now. They see his justice, so they just leave. They can't muster up the courage. They say, "This man who's so just that he won't even use a public candle for a private matter. There's no way he's going to give us any land, any personal favors, that he's not going to do any political favors for us." So they come and they go. They don't even have the courage to ask Imam Ali for any special power or any special favors. They understood that they cannot bribe Amir al-Mu'mineen. They cannot buy the Imam. That once Amir al-Mu'mineen was at his house. He had just gotten Khilafah. And someone comes knocking on his door. He opens the door and the man is like, he's so happy. He's like, "Assalamu alaikum, I brought these sweets for you." Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, "Wa alaikum assalam, but why these sweets? Why have you brought these sweets? Is it sadaqah? Is it charity? Why have you all of a sudden randomly started giving me sweets?" The man said, "No, it's not charity, it's not zakat." He says, "These sweets are a gift from me to you, that I'm gifting these sweets to you." And Amir al-Mu'mineen is like, "Hold up a second. That okay, I'm the ruler now. You never gave me any gifts before I became ruler. Now all of a sudden when I have khilafah, when I have power, when I have authority and leadership, you decide to come to my house and give me sweets? Do you think you could bribe me like this? Do you think I'm going to grant you any special privileges?" Amir al-Mu'mineen said, "You didn't give me sweets before power, and I won't accept them after power. You take your sweets and you go back home." That this was the justice of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But tonight we're here to commemorate the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And these are the nights when he's leaving this world. That he's leaving this world and he's on his deathbed. The Hassan comes in. Amir al-Mu'mineen has just been hit by the poisonous sword. And Imam Hassan comes in and he's crying. And Amir al-Mu'mineen looks at his son and he says, "Why are you crying?" And Hassan says, "Why shouldn't I be crying? That you've just been hit with the most poisonous sword." Ali says, "Look, if you're crying, what is Zainab going to think? What is she going to think? Hassan stops crying. Imam Ali says, look, this time will pass. Ali says, oh Hassan, do you know where Hussein is? I don't see my Hussein. Call my Hussein. Hassan goes to Imam Hussein. Hussein's in a room by himself. He's sobbing. He's choking on his tears. The Hassan comes to Imam Hussein. He says, brother, father, what is father going to say if you're crying so much like this? Father is calling you. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he sees Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein walks into the room, and Imam Hussein can't hold it anymore. Imam Hussein starts crying again. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh Hussein, why are you crying? And the reply, it breaks the heart. Imam Hussein says, oh father, look, when grandfather Rasulullah died, you were there to console us. You were there to hug us, to put your hand over our head. When our mother Fatima Zahra died, you were there to console us, to put our head on your chest. You were there for us. Oh Father, this isn't Medina, Father, this is Kufa. You're leaving us. You're going. Who is going to hold us? Who is going to put us on your chest? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh Hussein, this time will pass too. Then Zainab comes in. And Zainab comes in and Zainab starts crying. Now Amir al-Mu'mineen can't take it anymore. Amir al-Mu'mineen starts to cry. That Amir al-Mu'mineen can't take the crying of Zainab. The tradition says that Amir al-Mu'mineen puts his head on the lap of Zainab. When he puts his head on the lap of Zainab, he whispers something to Zainab. What does he whisper? You have to look at the tradition. That when Zainab is at Bazar Sham, she's not going in. She's not entering the bazaar. Shimr is there and he's whipping her and he's beating her, but she won't go in. Umar Asad is there, he's yelling at her, she won't go in. All the women are asked to tell Zainab to go inside the bazaar, she won't go in. Finally, Imam Sajjad, he says, oh Auntie Zainab, I cannot take it that Shimr is beating you like this. Why don't you go inside the bazaar? Tell me, why don't you go? She said, look, when my father was leaving this world, he had his head on my lap and he whispered something to me. What did he say? He said, a time will come when you're standing at the entrance of Bazar Sham. People are chucking stones at you. He says, remember Zainab. Zainab, don't lose hope. Know one thing, when you're standing at Bazar Sham, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to grab you by the hand and I'm going to take you to Bazar Sham. She says, I'm waiting. She looks towards Najaf. She says, Father, where are you? I'm coming to Bazar Sham. I'm waiting for you to take me by the hand and take me into the bazaar. Ala lanatallahi ala qawmi al-zalimin. Matima Hussein.
उठो बाबा मैं ज़ैनब हूँ ये बीबी की सदा होगी उठो बाबा मैं ज़ैनब हूँ ये बीबी की सदा होगी उठो बाबा मैं ज़ैनब हूँ ये बीबी की सदा होगी मेरे मौला अली को जिस मेरे मौला अली को जिस कड़ी आई कज़ा होगी उठो बाबा मैं ज़ैनब हूँ ये बीबी की सदा होगी उठो बाबा मैं ज़ैनब हूँ ये बीबी की सदा होगी नहीं क्यों बोलते बाबा बुलाती है तुम्हें ज़ैना के सारे दर्द गुर्बत के सुनाती है तुम्हें ज़ैना तुम्हारे बाद सर पे تمہارے بعد سر پہ اب یتیمی کی ردا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا. اٹھو بابا میں ابھی تو ماں کے صدمے سے نہ بچوں کو سکون آیا کہ تیری موت نے پھر سے ہمارے دل کو تڑ پایا. یوں لگتا ہے کہ ہم پہ یوں لگتا ہے کہ ہم پہ اب ستم کی انتہا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا ہوگی. اٹھو علی کی لاش پہ کلثوم یہ رو رو کے فرمائے کیا اس بیٹی کا جینا ہے کہ جس کا باپ مر جائے. یہ سن کر بین دختر کا یہ سن کر بین دختر کا تڑپتی سیدہ ہوں گی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا ہوگی. اٹھو بروز عید کلمہ گو بہت خوشیاں منائیں گے تمہارے غم میں ہم بابا مگر آنسو بہائیں گے. بتاؤ عید کیا بابا بتاؤ عید کیا بابا یتیموں کی بلا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا ہوگی. اٹھو ردا سر پہ نہیں ہوگی شرابی ہم سفر ہوں گے. سنا کی نوک پہ بابا تمہارے سب پہ سر ہوں گے. جہاں بھی جائے گی زینب جہاں بھی جائے گی زینب وہاں پہ کربلا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میرے مولا علی کو جس میرے مولا علی کو جس گھڑی آئی قضا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا ہوگی. اٹھو بابا میں زینب ہوں یہ بی بی کی صدا.
یا علی مولا یا علی مولا یا علی مولا.
توجه الزيارة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك وأمك وأخيك وعلى المعصومين من ولدك وبنيك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. سلطان يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى رضا عليك التحية والثناء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن ويا خليفة الرحمن ويا إمام الإنس والجن. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وزهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك وشياتك ومحبيك ورحمة الله وبركاته.